Man, can you believe it? The NHL preseason kicks off in just a little over a month. You know what that means. We got to get prepped for the season. Time to get a little crazy with it. Bold prediction time. Welcome back, hockey fans. Welcome in if this is your first time to the channel. I'm Josh. This is the Hockey Flow, and today it's Saturday, August 20th, 2022. That's right, the NHL season, it's just around the corner, so now is the perfect time to get a little crazy and give you bold predictions. This is going to be part one. We're going to do a multi-part series with this. I'll just give you 3 bold predictions at a time. You guys let me know if you agree or disagree. But that's right, we're going to break down 3 bold predictions today with help from Jfresh Hockey, The Athletic, HockeyReference.com. We're looking at it all. But before we get to that, we got to get through today in hockey history, and then we'll get into the bold predictions. No headlines today, but Canada, you guys did do well in the IIHF. But let's get into it, shall we? If you do enjoy the content, take a moment, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Helps us out a ton. We're just getting started, but we're going to keep bringing you videos almost every day. And we do appreciate it. And speaking of that, we are going to be taking Fridays off at the channel, so Monday through Thursday, then we'll be back Saturday and Sunday for you guys. But today in hockey history, on this date, August 20th, in 2001, the New York Rangers would finally land their man, Eric Lindros. He went on to score 37 goals and 73 points in 72 games that season for the Rangers. It would be his best season for the Rangers, but as you guys probably have heard, he almost went to the Rangers a lot earlier, but the arbiter ruled that the Flyers got that deal done with the Nordiques instead of the Rangers, and the rest is history. So, all right, let's get into it. New segment again, I guess, if you will. We're going to go through 2022-2023 season bold predictions. So we're going to go through 3 bold predictions today. We're going to take a look at three items that I think are going to happen in this NHL season. You guys let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. All right, let's get into it. This is going to be a lot of fun. So first up, number 1, the Minnesota Wild will make the Western Conference Finals. That's right, I'm not crazy. I've got stuff to support me. But why? All right, let's get into it. So here we go. Big shout out to Jfresh Hockey, HockeyReference.com for the stats and the team card here. But tell you what, the Minnesota Wild are a good team. They had an excellent season last year, and I feel like they're on an upward trajectory, okay? So last season, speaking of last season, again, they had a great season in that Central Division. They were 5th overall in the league and 2nd in that division, 2nd to the eventual Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche. Now, that division is a little bit loaded, right? You got themselves, you've got Colorado, you have St. Louis, you have Dallas, you have Nashville, Winnipeg. If you guys ever figure out your stuff, the division is fairly deep, but the Wild did have an excellent season and performed really well in the division. They had over 100 points. They weren't that far off from the Avalanche, actually. So let's look at their season last year a little more in depth with the help of the Jfresh team card here. So goals for, they were excellent. Goals against, they were also very good. Goals for percentage, again, stands out. Now that red, we see that red in the power play. So again, blue good, red bad on these player cards for Jfresh Hockey. But that red there, that power play, that's a little surprising, right? Especially when you got Kirill Kaprizov, man in the wing there. Zuccarello had a great season. Ryan Hartman had a coming out party last year, absolutely. So that does surprise me a little bit, but they're finishing, there we go, 2nd in the league. It was fantastic. So the Minnesota Wild, you guys had a good season last year. Didn't really turn out very well in the playoffs. That's okay. The St. Louis Blues were a good team. So why do we feel that they're going to turn the corner and get past not only the first round, but I think they're going to make their way to the Western Conference Finals? I'm an Oilers fan. My goodness. We'll see you guys in the Western Conference Finals. But key additions and subtractions, we got to talk about the why, right? So the big news of the offseason was the Kevin Fiala trade. The Minnesota Wild put themselves into a very peculiar situation cap-wise by buying out Parise and Ryan Suter. They have like $14 million in dead cap, and sure enough, this offseason is where that kind of bit them in the butt a tiny, tiny bit. Kevin Fiala had an excellent season last year. We look at their leading scorers last year, 85 points. But to start the season, he was in the doghouse. Coach was not happy with him. He was not getting used very often. And to be honest, the Wild team didn't really click on all cylinders at that point as well, so it's a little tough. But then Fiala really turned it on. At the same point, the Wild started turning it on too. So you really wonder, was he really a linchpin in that system? And yes, he had an excellent season, and his impact will be missed. But I tell you what, it's time for the young guys to shine. We did a video previously, Cole Caulfield versus Matt Boldy, and I picked Matt Boldy. Spoiler alert on that one. But Matt Boldy, I look at him to have an excellent season. But not just him, the other youths amongst this team. But I digress. Let's get back to the who left. So we had Kevin Fiala's out. Cam Talbot, the goalie situation, he's out as well. Nick Bustad, Deslauriers, and Jordy Ben are both gone as well. Their absences will be felt a little bit, but it's not like we lost a bunch of Fialas, right? And then we brought in Philip Gustafsson and Brock Faber. So he's more of a prospect right now, right? He's playing in the IIHF, but I'm really high on the lad. I think you guys got yourselves a good one. You also have Jack Pert in the minors. I mean, the Minnesota Wild might have the deepest farm system in the NHL right now. And but let's talk about the now. Let's talk about the present. As far as people leaving, Fiala was the big one, right? So your scorers all come back. Everyone comes back with a year's extra of experience. The team is young. 8 projected NHLers, 25 or under. Boldy and Addison, those are the two that I'm looking for in particular, but Connor Dewar, he also had a nice little impact, played really well for the Iowa Wild, and then had a nice little impact for them in the NHL as well. I really look for him to take some strides this season as well. Jordan Greenway is another player I'm really high on. I think he's going to make some strides this year. They have a lot of size. Joel Eriksson-Ek at the center position is really a very underrated player, excellent two-way player. Might be a Selke favorite this year. I don't know. Maybe under the radar there. But then even you look through their depth, right? Frederick Gaudreau, he had a great season last year too, and he's probably going to be their fourth line centerman. That's tough. Well, probably third line, depending on how their prospects line up. We also have Rossi coming up, right? We got to slot him in as well. So I'm really excited to see what the Minnesota Wild can do this season. They have their core in place. Kirill Kaprizov is still there. Matt Zuccarello is still there. Ryan Hartman, can you do what you did last season? I think that's going to be a big question as well, because he really hadn't performed to that level, and then last year just really blew up on the spot, had a great first half. Second half, still had that impact. Absolutely every highlight, it seems like he had his hand in goal or an assist. So if he can keep that up, that's another big if, but I think he can do it. So again, all right, so now we look at the Tendy spot. This is, I know folks might not be thinking this is a question mark, but it kind of is for me. So they did bring in Marc-Andre Fleury, right? So they had Marc-Andre Fleury and Cam Talbot, and Cam Talbot was not happy that they brought Andre Fleury back. So they trade Cam Talbot to the Senators for Philip Gustafsson, and Gustafsson had a great second half last year. The Ottawa Senators, I thought they were pretty happy with their Tendy spot, but they went ahead and they flipped him for Cam Talbot, and they think they got the better of the deal. But honestly, I think both sides came out okay, and I think the Wild are going to have another 1-2 punch. But Marc-Andre Fleury does worry me. He's a little older, right? He's getting up there in age, and he had some moments last season that were a little alarming. But overall, I don't think the Wild, I think he has at least one more good season. And then after that, we got Jesper Wallstedt, the Tendy extraordinaire prospect, coming up too. Just had another great tournament for Sweden. So the Minnesota Wild, you guys are in a great spot. I think you're going to continue this upward trajectory, and you guys are going to make it to the Western Conference Finals. We'll see you there. Let's go Oilers, baby. All right, so number 2. That was number 1. Let's get to number 2. My second bold prediction for the 2022-2023 season. Vancouver Canucks fans, you guys are going to be happy. That's why I'm wearing the jersey today. Elias Pettersson will be a top 10 forward in the league. That's right. He's going to regain his form this season. But why, we ask? Well, we got you covered. So again, big shout out to Jfresh Hockey and The Athletic, Dom and Shayna. Thank you guys for these. HockeyReference.com with the stats as well, and Jfresh Hockey with this neat chart at the bottom also. So Elias Pettersson, last season he was expected to blow up, just have an excellent season, and it was quite the opposite. His beginning of the season was atrocious. He was not playing well at all. turned it on at the end, and we see this with the player cards. Both of them, Dom and Shayna with the Athletic, 2.7 game score value added. That's great. That's not quite to the level that we're seeing for first-line centerman Elias Pettersson, what we think he can get to, but that's excellent considering the horrid first start to the season, or first half of the season he had. And again, with the Jfresh Hockey player card here, 97% projected WAR. That's incredible. That's great. That means he's projected to be better than 97% of the NHL. Fantastic. We also see a lot of blue in here, right? Penalties, great. Finishing, his offense. But the big thing that stands out is his defense. And that is something, if we're going to tell the story of Elias Pettersson, right? This is the lad, Calder winner. We see it right there in his rookie season, all rookie team. He really just kind of set the world on fire, right? And Canucks fans started to drool. He had a great second season as well. Then we got the COVID season that kind of cut some things short. And then he has a terrible beginning to this season. And we kind of start to worry because it was extended. Well, fear not, Canucks fans. He had a great second half, and I fully expect him to continue this upward trend, but he's got to get that defense back. That is a big thing. He's not hurt this season, so that's going to help him a ton. He gets a full off season. He gets a training camp. He gets a preseason. He gets all of that. He can find his stride now. No more playing catch up. I think that's going to do him wonders. That's going to help him regain that defensive form because previously in his career, he had shown he's not just an offensive forward. He was a two-way forward, so he has it in him. If he can regain that confidence, that's going to be a big piece for him too. I really do think that Elias Pettersson can regain that form, and he's going to have a huge season this season for the Canucks. He's going to be a top 10 forward in the NHL by the end of the year. I really do think so. We see there, the bottom left, that chart, his goals for versus goals against. He's sitting in that everything is happening, which is actually is okay. That's not bad considering the season that he had, and man, just trying to get your head right after being one of the best and feeling like you're on such a positive trend, and then having the rug pulled out from under you. So if he can get his head straight and move the needle over to that two-way dominance like we think he can, absolutely, if he can bring back that defensive part of his game, the offense is still there, right? The lethal shot is still there. The ability to create a shot is still there. If he can regain that defensive form and regain that confidence, that mental strength that he was showing, then I really do think that Elias Pettersson is going to be a top 10 forward in the NHL by the end of the year. All right, let's move on. We got one more. Let's go Oilers, baby. Number 3, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. He's going to have a career high in goals and points this season. But why, do you ask? Well, I got you covered. All right, so here we go. We're looking at the Nuge, and this one, I had to do a little bit of a homer. I promise we won't have one every single bold prediction, but I'm feeling really good about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and the Oilers this season. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, man, he was a first overall pick back in the day. Never really reached the peak, right? Like, he's always been a really good player, but injuries, other things have kind of kept him, or kind of gotten his way a little bit. So I took a snippet of his last 4 seasons just so we could see that. We've got our player cards as well, and to be quite honest, he's not an analytic darling. He does fall more into the eye test for me. Like, I see the impact that he has on the ice. You see how the team plays without him. I'm sure we could dive deep into some more stats and see the actual impact that he's having. But for me, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a classic eye test person. For me, the value that he brings to that team, it's obvious when he's not in the lineup that they're missing him, okay? So what's going to be the key? Why is this season going to be different than last season or the year before? Well, as long as he can stay healthy, right? This year, consistency is going to be the key. Absolutely. The talk that I've been hearing is that he's going to be slotted in that third centerman position, and he's just going to be left there. That's his to own, and that's what I want to see. I know he's a jack of all trades, and he can play on the wing, can play in the center. He kills penalties. He's still going to be doing that stuff for us, but consistency is key. In any role that we do, it's good to have that consistency, not to have to worry about the unexpected, right? So I really think that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is going to thrive if he can just be left alone in that third centerman position, just own that third line, help the youth, kill penalties, help out on that power play, and maybe even command the second power play and really stand out. I think he's going to carve out a beautiful niche. He already is a very utility player-esque for us in a lot of ways, so I see him capitalizing on that this season, and our new signings, right? We brought in Zach Hyman last year. This season we've got Evander Kane re-signed. Kane joins us towards the end of last season, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is going to reap the benefits of a full season with Evander Kane and company. But I digress. Let's get back into our talking points. We already mentioned it. The models were not kind to him, but like I said, he is someone whose absence is obvious, but health is going to be the key. That was it last season. He got hurt. He was flying high. He was doing really well, and then got hurt. But the other piece, the pressure's not going to be on him. You have to admit, he's a first overall pick. Didn't really live up to the lofty expectations that come with being a first overall pick. He's still a very strong player, very good player in my opinion. But if you pick someone number 1 overall, you're looking, Connor McDavid, you're looking at Austin Matthews, you're looking at a superstar, right? Well, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins isn't being looked at as the superstar of this team. You have so many other stars. You've got Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. We bring in Zach Hyman, Evander Kane. The pressure for you personally, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, to go out there and score the goals and be the offense, it's not there. Right now, you can just be yourself. You can be the player that you are, have that impact, two-way impact, offense and defense, make the right passes, set your teammates up, and the good things will come. The stats will come with that. So I think he's going to get career highs in goals and points. Goal career high, we have it there, 28 and .69. So that means he has to hit 29 goals and at least 70 points. I tell you what, last season he had 50 assists, and that was with the injuries. So as point-wise, I don't think we're in any trouble. Now, goal-wise, I think that is going to be a little bit of a hurdle for him, but if he can get consistent playing time, if he's not hurt, if he gets good, consistent time on the power plays as well, makes the most out of his shots. We see his shot percentage was down last season, so if he can bring that up a tick as well, I think the opportunities that this team is going to be able to create for him in particular, I like it. I really do see Ryan Nugent-Hopkins getting 30 goals this season, at least 70 points, hopefully more, and the Oilers will be meeting the Minnesota Wild in the Western Conference Finals on the way to our Stanley Cup Finals. But that's going to do it for our bold predictions today. That's our first 3. We'll be back. We'll be doing more. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of these. If there's anything that you'd like me to do some deep diving on and discuss, let me know too. I would love to see what you guys have. But again, that's going to do it for the video. I do appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. Be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Until tomorrow, cheers!